I'm not apologizing for what I say, who I am. And I want other women to feel that freeing um, feeling, because I think we're all playing safe, being the nice girl, being seen, not heard. And then you're supposed to be, you have no wrinkles, no gray hair, size 0, all the things on how we're supposed to be if we are allowed to be on stage. Well, I decided, nah, stuff that. Uh, I'm just going to show up the way I am.
Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where powerhouse women break limits, claim their worth, and rise beyond good enough. I'm Jennifer Perri, a transformational coach, best-selling author, and fierce advocate for women reclaiming their power. After overcoming adversity from an abusive marriage to Guillain-Barré syndrome, I've made it my mission to help women rise above limiting beliefs, unlock their genius, and create lives of freedom, ease, and fulfillment. Each week, I sit down with 6- and 7-figure female entrepreneurs, executives, and visionaries who are rewriting the rules of success, building lasting impact, and owning their brilliance. Together, we'll share strategies, breakthroughs, and unfiltered conversations designed to inspire your clarity, confidence, and next-level power. This isn't just another business podcast. It's where transformation meets legacy and where unstoppable women rise. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where women stop waiting and start choosing what's next. I'm your host, Jennifer Perri. I'm a reinvention strategist and certified divorce coach, a mindset and money mentor, and the CEO of Shiro Life and Empowerment Coaching. Each week, I sit down with amazing women who are redefining success and building life on their terms. And our guest today is full of energy, and I love her. And I've been waiting to record her episode. Tina Kapp Kailea. How are you, Tina?
I am well, coming to you all the way from New Zealand, from the future, and I have been in your orbit for a while, so I'm really excited that I finally get to talk to you.
That's awesome. I keep trying to get her to tell me what's happening like in the future, but she's not giving me any good tips or anything right now. But I'm gonna brag on you for a little bit, so you're just gonna have to sit there and listen. Tina is a best-selling author, publisher, TEDx speaker, embodiment coach, and the founder of founder of Fempreneur and Book Mystic. She helps women transform their lived experiences, wisdom, and stories into powerful books that build authority, healing, impact, and legacy. Through her work, Tina guides women out of burnout culture and back into authentic feminine leadership, voice, and visibility. I love all of those things. And we're gonna dig into all of them. Now, you did say that you were joining us from New Zealand, but why don't you tell a little bit more about yourself, kind of what got you there, and what kind of really made you come onto the podcast?
Um, how I got to New Zealand is a bit of a I call it divine intervention in hindsight. I don't believe in coincidences. I had an obsession with anything South Pacific since I was a little girl, and the staunch grandmothers go and say, yeah, close your eyes and see how far you get. But that's kind of what I did. So I started in manufacturing and routing, something very traditional. Went to business school because the graphic design before computers, mum said, there's no money in the arts, do something proper. So off I went and did that, which was great because, lots of languages and travel. But I realized that the structure that I was living in New Zealand, in Germany, was very rigid, very traditional. And as a woman in your mid-20s of childbearing age, there was very little management opportunity, if any. So it was secretary or admin. And while there's nothing wrong with it, I kind of wanted to, do big things, go places. So that caused a lot of friction. And one of the clients we had was based in New Zealand. On my bucket list, hello. And out of the sudden, they said, well, if you want to improve your English, why don't you come to New Zealand for a year? So I was 25 when I got that offer, and my heart was kind of set on moving to Dubai. Because it was a great place to be. It was a market I worked in a lot, and it was before the high-rise towers existed. But I went to New Zealand because I wanted to travel there, and I thought, wow, I get the visa and everything. So I had a blast for a year. Decided that I really liked it, and it's the other side of the world. I might as well stay another year. And then I crossed paths with a rather hunky Tongan rugby player who looks like The Rock's cousin. And I go, oh, hmm. So we started dating, and we have been married for almost 20 years now, and I'm still here 27 years later. But what I really enjoy in New Zealand is the entrepreneurial mindset people have. It's you're not stuck in a certain industry, you're not stuck in a certain path. If the mood strikes you and you want to, do something different, it is much easier than from what I observed in Germany or Europe or even North America. So I loved the opportunity. And as a woman, I had choices. I could go into middle management, upper management. There was not the same barriers. So that went really well for a while. But unfortunately, I ended up on a path of burnout and breakdown. And it was a very personal story because it ended up causing me some fertility issues, lost pregnancies along that way.
Mm.
And I had to redesign my entire being, which led me to write my book, and here we are. So I've followed you for a while and was really, really inspired by you just being who you are, full out, no false bottom. What you see is what you get, something I really admire. And I think it takes courage. And for me, it was uncomfortable for a long time until I thought, you know what? I've written the book. All my things are out there. Life, whatever you've got, give it your best shot. I'm staying and I'm speaking up about it. So I'm really happy I'm on your podcast because, like I said, you've been an inspiration that you
Oh.
can go places and do things. And I love hanging out with women like that.
And I love it because we're going to talk about you calling yourself an unapologetic wild woman because I love that. I think that was from the first moment that we interacted with each other. You have it's like an infectious energy and always very positive, even if something is kind of coming hard. Like just we had a little bit of scheduling. I was going through some things trying to get this scheduled. I had something going on in my house, and you were just kind of like, have a blessed weekend. Don't worry about anything. It was just you just are that kind of person. The kind of person that makes you feel good. So I'm very glad that you're on here. But let's get back to calling yourself an unapologetic wild woman. What does that mean? And when did you kind of first give yourself the permission to be like, this is who I am, and I'm just now going to earn it.
I love that you used the word permission because it really comes back to us. And obviously, society, social media, where we grow up, what sort of family values are given to us play a big part in it. And I love challenging women to really excavate what is your story and what have you taken on over the years to come back to your true equilibrium. Because I believe that if we go through a whole lot of stuff in life, hard stuff, difficult things, grief, anger, could be all sorts of things. I think it can often be lessons in disguise. And it's taken me a long time to see the silver lining in things because it's easier said than done when you're stuck in that place. But I realized, I mean, for me, English is not my first language. So I had a huge chip on my shoulder for a lot of years that people will make fun of my accent and, my name, no one can pronounce it. And now that I've got the Tongan part in it, even less so. And then I was too scared to go live on Facebook or to speak out in public. And the irony was that one of my coaches here said, the fear is where your task lies.
Mm,
And for my martial arts career, it's like you have to push through fear to get to your next level. I think fear is always something that shows us, well, this is your boundary. And if you actually get to the other side, you see it's not that scary. So public speaking for me would have been terrifying because I always wanted to hide because I was always too wild, too big, too loud, too colorful, too outspoken. And when we have our formative years before you get to your teenage years, that stays with you. So I was
sure it
trying to
does.
blend in, uh, being in the background. And in corporate, that's not a good thing because I had no boundaries. I didn't speak up, didn't say no. And I was the one who was sitting in the back of the boardroom, let everyone talk, thinking, oh, maybe I'll say something at the end. But then, the meeting was finished and I was like, oh, I had something to say. I realized that that sort of mentality is not serving me. So eventually, that book I've written, and the irony again, I have a 20-year career in publishing. So I thought, easy. Not everything there is about publishing. But when I had to write that really hard story and relive those moments that got me to why I've gone into coaching and speaking, that was hard. So once I've pushed that through and it was out there, I realized, well, everything that I was afraid of, people could find out. was no longer an issue because I put it out publicly. And that was a moment where it was just so freeing. It's like the big portal opened and I go, ta-da, here I am. So I recommend I'm not apologizing for what I say, who I am. And I want other women to feel that freeing um, feeling because I think we're all playing safe, being the nice girl, being seen, not heard. And then you're supposed to be, you have no wrinkles, no gray hair, size zero, all the things on how we're supposed to be if we are allowed to be on stage. Well, I decided, nah, stuff that. Uh, I'm just going to show up the way I am. So, Wild Woman is my personality. I love a good hard rock concert, love riding horses. I'm a black belt in martial arts. So, I have a lot of traits that you don't necessarily recognize with feminine sides. And I decided if I show up on stage or in corporate or wherever, I'm going to bring all of me. And if someone doesn't like it, they're maybe not my people. So that's that unapologetic part. And I think the more women I find like you and like so many others in my field, like, yeah, those are my people. I want to hang out with them. And others hopefully follow so we can be, the Pied Pipers of a freeing movement.
I love absolutely all of that because you're right. There are so many women that don't like, I mean, look like me. I've been a plus size woman my entire life. And you don't see a bunch of those elevated out there on stages. Like normally you'll see the perfect. And there's nothing, listen, I'm not somebody who is, you can be a size zero or a 6XL. Like it doesn't matter to me at all. Like I'm happy for you if you're standing in your story, if you're out there and you're doing what you feel is called. Absolutely embracing all of that. There are not a lot of me's that are out there represented in a corporate setting that are leading or walking onto stages, which is why when I first started doing workshops and all, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I was uncomfortable, and a lot of times when you're speaking, nobody knows you made a mistake except you. Nobody knows if you said something wrong. Nobody can look at you for majority, even for me, and say, well, there's no way she's not confident. Are you kidding me? Like, no matter what level of success you get to, you still struggle with stuff. And it's
Yeah,
realizing that, you know what? No, it's okay that I'm here. I don't need a seat at the table. I'm going to build my own. I'm going to find other women who are out there who are using their voice, who are being unapologetic and authentic. And you talk a lot about that too in your book. You talked about miscarriages and people pleasing and a narcissistic boss. And I know you talked about how it kind of you put your story out there and then everybody knew it, but internally, how did it change you? Like, how did it change you, and how do you feel that it changed maybe some of the people around you who read it, who didn't really know all of Tina until they kind of put their hands on your book? How did it change you personally?
it changed me because it forced me to take a real good, honest, hard look at how I was living and come to the realization. Because my biggest question when I had those miscarriages, and it was five of them,
Mm,
was why does this keep happening to me? Why? That big why, I looked for the answers outside of me. And when I was, because I was broken, I had suppressed the grief. I decided to carry through. Anyone in a C-suite executive job or the people around you, they have no idea how to handle it. And because you're not showing up feminine, the fact that you even want to get pregnant while you have a big job like that, you don't tell people because someone could easily replace you or take a job. I
mm,
mean, all this, we're unfortunately in this man's world. So I came to the realization that by me not listening to my body, it was screaming, "You're so full of cortisol, you're so full of stress, you have anxiety and depression. You're not doing anything about it. How do you think your body feels safe to carry a pregnancy through to full term?" And when
mm.
I started understanding the hormonal part of it, because I thought I was invincible and had everything under control, ultra masculine, super organized. But I was numb from here down, so I didn't listen to any of it and go, "Oh, yeah, just pop a pill, have a coffee, carry on." Um, that journey was uncomfortable, and it was coming for me to the realization that I participated in something I could have changed earlier. So there was a lot of time that question that lingered. If I would have stepped away from that corporate hamster wheel, that stress, earlier, would I now have a second child? And while that is a hard question to ask yourself, it made me forgive myself um, make peace with what had happened, and try and be a living, breathing example of telling women, I know how you feel. I've been one of you. But make no mistake that I have the tale to tell that this is an extreme case of what could happen if you do not listen to your body and you carry on. It could be heart disease, it could be other things. But my path was that. And the interesting thing was, the minute I became honest about what that actually looks like, when you miscarry and sharing that, women came out and said, wow, I had two, I had one. Why is no one talking about it? And you get so much advice. The medical profession sanitized it all. So I made it a mission to go, I'm going to be honest. And unless someone has walked through those shoes and has been in that situation where, let nature take its course, it sounds very nice on paper. I can tell you it looks different in reality. But only someone who's been there can hold that space for other women to actually um, unpack some of those things they felt at the time, the grief, the anger, the despair, the self-loathing. Like, my body failed me, let alone the stress it puts on into see your relationship and marriage. So that's the change I saw in me. And then I realized I have a higher purpose, if you want to call it that. I have a responsibility to keep sharing and keep holding space because it is needed. I've seen the resonance, and that kept me going. And here I am doing what I'm doing.
And thank you for just taking time to share that, because I know that I miscarried in my life between my children. And that was I was going through a lot of stress, married to a very abusive person. So trying to just take care of that, you do grieve it, and you question yourself a lot, and it's not an easy place to be. And but thank you for just sharing that, because I think that they're part of the reason I do this and I do what I do is so that we have the opportunity for women to hear how other women have gone through things in life and have moved past it. Not that you really move past it is probably a horrible way to say it, but you make something positive out of it. You learn more
Yes.
about yourself. You learn then how to help other people and support other people. And one of the things that you talked about is, you do publishing and you describe yourself as a book doula. And I want to
Mm.
dig into that, because what does it mean to midwife a woman's story into the world? And why is that process so emotionally, it's a loaded one for women?
It is because we pretend to be invincible. And when my book had me on my knees crying and really reliving every moment. And then you go, do I need to go 6 layers deep here, or do I need to this and that? So I had help, and I've sort of gone, you should notice you've been in publishing. So there's so many ways of getting a book out, and a lot of people do it safe. It's a book about your modality or your coaching program. That is the safe part. But as a
Right.
speaker, if you have a story, you need some personal connection, but you need to have the right dose, for a better word, because you don't want to re-traumatize an audience or a reader. You also need to tell just enough so they can follow your story. And that takes some careful curation. And I realized when I finished my book that that's the missing link in so many, write your book in 90 days, or, I can write your book. I would say to anybody who has a story, don't let all of these things fool you, because it is the power of your story that will make your book connect with people who really need it. And when I started it, it wasn't for me to put me on stages or podcasts. It was, I want this book to make a difference in just one woman's life. And that is the purpose of the book done, because I had a lot of people go, oh, why are you writing a book? And he's a bit. And I said, because I feel like I have to get that story out for me as much as something else. So that was for me, that turning it into something beautiful that can now radiate for women to see that as a light if they need it. And a doula is somebody in pregnancy that deals with the emotions, the undertow of feelings, the spiritual side of birthing and creation on the inside without a rule book. While as a coach for book writing tells you, oh, have you written your 2,000 words this week, and how we're
Right.
doing with the tracking, and it's that accountability element. But for women in particular, we need to feel safe with someone to open up, whether it's in a relationship or telling someone stories. Um, And that's missing. So I hold women through that process of telling that story, and I look at it through the lens of a reader, the space holder, as well as someone who knows publishing and the marketing after the book comes out. And I can really guide women along that path of getting a book that's powerful, but that's also positioning and underline. Here's what I've done with this story, and here's what I now do. And this is why find me, because I can help you with this. And I love it. Space holding and holding safe space is my superpower. And for a long time, my rational mind goes, well, that's not a job description. Until I realized you can infuse everything that you do, whether it's a retreat or even just holding space on this podcast for anywhere where a woman's voice wants to be expressed. I'm really good at holding space because that's what I love and that's what I'm here to do in whatever shape that takes on. So doulaing is very different from coaching.
I love that because I've been in 6 books now, all collaborative. I have been approached about doing my own book and signed up to do a solo book, but I've spent 20 some years trying to figure out how do I share my story in a way that doesn't re-victimize myself, that doesn't share not too much, but maybe the wrong things, if there even is. I mean, your story is your story, and I have been so transparent about my story, especially what's happened in the past 4 or 5 years of my life. But what you just described is to me the experience that if I step forward in faith to do it, I would want to have that guidance and feel that safe space and have all of that kind of stuff. So you and I are going to be talking after
I
this
would love that.
about
And
that
it's
situation.
honoring the woman in that process, in
Mm,
all of her expression. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of grief, anger, all of those things that come up. And trauma-informed coaching and space holding is an art form and something that some people, when done wrong, they can do harm with it.
mhm.
And that's why I'm very discerning on who I work with. And sometimes I had clients where I go, I think you might need to have some therapy with it because it was so traumatic and so deep. And I sensed as I work very intuitively and because I care, I'm an empath. And from an integrity point of view, integrity and honesty is one of my two biggest values in life and business and everything that I do. So I would not feel an integrity if I just take someone on for the sake of taking on a client. It is a co-creation and it needs to have that basis of trust for it to feel safe.
Well, and I think too, for me, it's almost like I've shared bits and pieces, and I there's parts of my life that I carry a lot of shame. I've gotten way better with that, but I think it's almost like until you get it all out and you're sitting there looking at a first draft and then an edited draft and then a final draft, and then you're gonna release yourself out there to the world. I am way beyond worrying about anybody judging me. I don't even care. Like you either love me or you hate me. But again, it is one of those things where you are just exposing yourself to everything and everyone by sharing that story. And if it's not done right, if you're only just kind of skimming the level, the very top layer of it, are you really kind of, for me, it's kind of putting stuff to rest. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I've done this. I've moved forward. I'm sharing my story because storytelling is so powerful. It
Yes.
saves lives, it changes lives. So I think what you do is, and that whole thing is the first time I've ever heard anything described like that. So I think that is just another reason why I just love you. But
You're
so we're
spelling.
gonna
It's casting a spell. So they
yeah.
call it that for a reason. It is your entire essence of being that you're putting in pages, and it's not a fleeting Instagram story. It's a legacy piece.
It isn't. And I think too it takes a I know women who should write books. I
Hmm.
know that their story is so impactful, but they have not kind of come to terms with it internally to be able to share it. I hope they get
Yeah.
to that point because there's just two I think of right now. Their stories would help change the lives of so many people. And I know they need it. They need to do
Mm.
it. You know what I
It's
mean?
good for the author because it does give you closure. You can make peace with it. It's a cathartic process, and sometimes you write maybe double the amount of words who are actually going to make it on the page, but because you're letting it go, it's healing. And I always say to authors, once the manuscript is put to print, make a fire, kitchen sink,
Yep.
brazier, bonfire, burn the whole thing and stand in your own ashes because, like a wildfire, once you burn things, that ash can fertilize new ground and you have it's just clearing it. It's almost like a ceremony to go, I'm now honoring me. Here's the new part, and it's a portal. A book is a portal. It's a birth canal. Again, coming with the doula language.
Love that. Well, we're going to definitely talk about that. Anyway, so I want to move on to your TEDx talk. You talk about becoming the CEO of your own life. And what does self-leadership demand the most, that usually we see regular leadership frameworks kind of ignore?
I would say honesty and vulnerability, because as CEOs, especially if you have multi-layered big organizations, the further you go to the top, like they say, the air gets thinner and you often feel like you have to have all the answers. And I think if we would come down from the ivory tower, and I did my TEDx talk in my karate uniform, so I like challenging people. And I always say, well, yes, the top brass needs to step down to come onto the mat and actually have this conversation with the team, because otherwise you're never going to go and close that gap of, them and us. So for them to be honest and really admitting that you don't have to have all the answers. I think there's a lot of really C-suite and CEOs of companies who are burning out themselves, but
Mm.
they are the least to admit or show it because they feel like they have to carry it all by themselves. And in that process, they can often internalize that so much that they forget they have a team they can rely on. They can trust them. They should foster them to, uh, get higher up and exceed expectations, because leadership is not dictatorship from the top down. It is enabling those who come behind you to really live into their fullest expressions and to exceed what they want to do in their roles.
So you brought up the karate. So tell me about that. What got you interested and got you to the level of black belt? I know it had to do with, of course, challenging yourself because you're just one of those, that's just you. But what got you interested in doing that?
Like I said, a wild woman, people have superheroes when they're children. Mine was Pippi Longstockings, and any woman with a sword and a shield. So I mean, Vikings, Last Kingdom, you name it, I've watched it. Throw a horse in and you've got me. But it was actually something. My father was a black belt. He was very sporty, very into that, and I wanted to do karate when I was a kid. And he said to me at the time, and we're talking early 80s, he said, karate is not for women, and you don't have the physical makeup to, do karate. And when I moved to New Zealand and thought, well, why did I never really tried it? I'm just going to give it a go. So I was in my mid 30s and I really enjoyed it because it is a very spiritual practice if you do the right style of karate. And I love the tradition. I love everyone is a white belt when we step onto the mat. We're all equals. There's no hierarchy. There's no status. The jewelry gets taken off. I don't know if you're CEO or if you're a teacher, whatever happens to be. And I really enjoyed that. And there's the personal challenge. I thought, well, I'm gonna prove Dad wrong. That's was a big element at the time, until I realized that that was through my burnout recovery the only sport, or the only one I was doing, where I could shut my brain up, because you're on the treadmill at the gym or you're going for a walk, you're either in your inbox or you're thinking about the grocery list. You never really shut down. And because I never learned meditation, drives me insane. I can never be quiet, at least not back then. That was a sport where I go, well, if I don't pay attention and I'm fully present, I'm either going to get hit or I'm going to forget my kata, which is that formation when we do all the choppy, funny things. And I enjoyed it because it really felt, coming out of the dojo, like I had a 2-week holiday when I did 2 hours of training. So it played a big part of my recovery and finding my femininity, which is not something you would necessarily relate to a martial arts. But because I'm a woman and I'm in a woman's body, I cannot spar the way my fellow men in the dojo do. So I had to really embrace some feminine qualities, like, a bit dancey, a bit flirty, and looking them straight in the eye to, rattle them a little bit before you go, oh, and now I'm going to sweep you with a technique that you don't really see coming, because I saw you twitch. Women are really good at reading people.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit of that dance, and black belt felt like I could be there for the girls in the dojo, because there was no other black belt female, to make sure that they learn about self-defense in a safe environment. Embrace your voice, because that's the first part of what I teach in self-defense. Having an attitude like you got two dragon wings on your back. And obviously they don't really want to be, do floor grappling with a man if they're 14, because feels weird. So it's safer with a woman. And that was, again, a bit of a role model motivation for me.
Do you still do it? Are you still practicing? Do you still
I
train?
have given up active training, because once you get to the black belt level, it's very time intense. And
Okay.
I was asked whether I want to go to Japan the end of last year to go through my second black belt, but because of time commitments, and I'm going through menopause, I'm 52 and I had some injuries. I go, maybe it's time to take it a little easy and not try and tackle a black belt while you turn purple,
Yeah.
uh, in a 3 millimeter canvas gi.
Yeah.
Um, but I love the philosophy behind it, and that's why I chose to wear my karate gi on the TEDx stage. And like that wild spirit, like I'm gonna do it in my black belt, bare feet, because I can, and it's a bit different.
I love that. I saw your TEDx picture. Now I have to go in and listen to what you had to say. But I saw it and I'm like, of course she did. Of course she wore it. But now I know you talked about being born in Germany and moving to New Zealand and moving to New Zealand. And has how has all that movement kind of shaped who you are and how you lead?
I think I had to come here to get away from everything I knew, to strip everything that was given to me, from the culture to the language to the environment I grew up. Because one thing I realized, you can move to the other side of the world, but your conditioning, and epigenetics is something that fascinates me. All of these beliefs in the area I grew up, like I come from a generation of two female matriarchs of the family who've gone through post-war Germany, and the scarcity, the sacrifice, the hard work, the all of that martyrdom mentality, I carried with me unknowingly. And it wasn't when until my father got really sick, he had bone cancer and passed away in 2017, when I realized here's someone who's worked hard his entire life. And he had, like, the 2 weeks holiday to go to Spain and get as tan as possible. And now he was lying there in his early 60s, immobile, waiting to see whether today was the day he was going to get called back. And I realized, like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to work my entire life in something that just pays the bills and then get sick and die. So that was a huge catalyst to go, I'm going to put a line in the sand for the future generations, for everyone that in my family, and do something different and show them you can live a happy, fulfilled life where you have time for the horses and time to walk in the beach at lunchtime, and not sit 9 to 5 in an office that burns you out, and be full of yourself in a good way. Because again, it has a frown to it when people say, oh, you're so full of yourself. I said, yes, I am, and I want everyone else to be like that. So it definitely changed me.
I love that. I just love every aspect about you. I just do. Now you are building literally a global movement. You're doing retreats, you're stepping on stages, you're doing authorship programs. What are you working on right now that you are super jazzed and excited about that you want to share?
Well, because I'm a serial editor and I am obviously loving all things books, I really want to work with some really high achieving women with a big community in different parts of the world, and go and let me create that magazine for you, create that anthology for you. We need to band together globally and understand that we all have the same mission when we get to that level, and we have big communities, by doing applied sisterhood, as I like to call it, where we trying to rise each other up rather than competing with one another. Let's do big King Arthur's table, like, when all the knights come together.
Mhm.
Let's do women from all over the globe, and let's, put the armor down and the sword and come as the woman first. Philanthropy, make the world a better place. As cliche as that sounds, but if we would band together, then I think we have a chance to do different things and help people in countries where they don't have a voice.
Mhm.
And print and articles of women who come from places where they can't even go out the door without being scrutinized over what they wear. That is important to me because I feel that pain not being able to express what's happening. And if we have a vehicle where we can tell that story, because no
Mhm.
news anchor does, why not? And
Well,
it
and
comes
also,
from us leading ourselves and having our own businesses because wealth in the hand of women, I believe, is a game changer.
oh,
And
for sure.
that's what I would love to do.
Well, we're going to be talking about that too. But but how can people find you? How I know there are going to be people that watch us and say, I need this woman in my world somehow. What is the best way for people to find you? Where should they go?
I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so it's just Tina K. Kailea. Look for the pink jacket or the karate gi, and that's me. I'm on Instagram under the_fempreneur, or you can just look at my website, and that's fempreneurpathfinder.com.
Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap up for today, but I have absolutely adored talking to you. I knew I would. I do every time I talk to you.
Thank
I'm
you.
just so thankful for our paths crossing, for your energy, for your willingness to kind of step into what it is that you wanted for your life and to go through all the challenges and all of the things that you did to come out and want to support other women and be there for them. So thank you so much for coming on to the Next Level Women. So as we wrap up today, I just like for all of you that are watching and listening to remember this, that the woman that you're becoming is built in the decisions that you make next. So until we meet again, keep doing the work, keep choosing yourself, and keep rising into the life that is calling you. And I will be here every step of the way to guide you into your next level. So until next time, bye everyone. Thank you again, Tina. Love you to
Thank you so
pieces.
much.
I really do. So
All
thanks for
right.
coming on. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.